So in this subtopic and in this chapter lah, in particular, we have 4 main equation for uniform accelerated motion. Okay, so one of the 4 key equation is okay, you guys use 3, sorry. So we have V equals to U plus AT. We have V square equals to U square plus 2AS. We have S equals to UT plus half AT square. Okay, so mainly you have these 3 equation. You used to have 4. Okay, later on maybe I will show you the 4th one. I have to double check whether it is needed or not. Okay, it will be S equals to half U plus VT. Okay, later on I'll show you. Okay, the first one, this one actually comes from a very simple equation, which is equation of acceleration. A equals to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. So you can rearrange this one and you will get the first one too. So this 3 formula will be given in exam. Jadi diberilah dekat formula sheet tu. And biasanya tak ada masalah lah. Dulu yes, dia tak beri. So dulu masa dia tak beri this equation, ada beberapa cara nak memorize lah. I think most student they memorize using dia punya sebutan tu. Macam this one is VUAT kata. Ini VUAS and then this is SUTAT, something like that lah. But if you memorize this formula, make sure you be careful with the square. Okay, ramai student even when the formula is given, they forget to put the square here. And then half ni biasa ingat lah. Ini yang square ni yang biasa student terlupa. So even if you can memorize, make sure you always double check dekat formula sheet. Nanti formula sheet tu kamu dalam exam tu dekat belah depan, kamu boleh koyakkan je dan kamu boleh letak side by side, so that you don't get confused. And the best thing about formula sheet tu, dia listkan ikut chapter. So if you are looking at your formula sheet, you can know lah, chapter 2 you can use formula from which formula until which formula. Okay, formula sheet tu sepatutnya ada dekat buku tu.
So jadi kita boleh koyakkan ya benda tu?
Boleh.
Okay.
Tapi jarang lah student koyakkan. I don't know why. Tapi boleh koyakkan, tak ada masalah. So, soalan tu kamu punya. So you can koyakkan, you can put side by side, and then you can tu lah. Student tak berani kot nak koyak. Anyway. Okay, so each one of these represent the same thing. Maksud saya, for V, let's say if we go through one by one, V here represent apa? Siapa boleh beritahu saya?
Final velocity.
Yes, V is final velocity. U is?
Initial velocity.
Yes, good. Okay, how about acceleration? Syairah ada? Kita dengan Syairah. A is acceleration lah, obviously. Saya dah tercakap lah. S? Syairah, S apa?
Acceleration.
Yes, displacement. And then T is obviously time. Okay, one of the most important thing about this equation is this 4 quantity is actually a vector quantity. Okay, so when I say this one is vector, whenever you try to substitute inside the equation, you really need to consider whether this one is positive or negative. Time tak adalah. But the V, U, A and S, it could be positive, it could be negative. It really depends on the direction. Okay, to give you some example, maybe I can straight away try to use tutorial question. The tutorial question kamu banyak. So if you can use some, so kita dah discuss a few. Okay, this one. Okay. Okay, we're gonna start with question number 10. So kalau kamu ada buku tutorial tu sebelah tu, boleh tengok question 10 I try to make this one a little bit and I want to crop. Okay, question number 10. Okay, about the three equation, are you guys okay with it? Ada masalah tak? Ada apa-apa nak tanya about this 3 equation?
Tak ada, sir.
Tak ada Okay, so benda ni kalau belajar dia macam benda ni kan, tapi kena buat soalan lah, then only can know. Okay, so the step on how to solve this one. So like I told you before, this chapter mainly soalan dia terbahagi kepada 3. One, dia kasih kamu equation. Number 2, dia kasih kamu graph. Number 3, dia kasih kamu jalan cerita. Equation and graph tu biasanya dia exist salah satu. Ingat tak yang first time yang saya kasih tu, yang equation tu yang kamu kena differentiate tu kan? That one dengan graph biasanya dia exist salah satu lah. Kalau graph dia tanya, yang lagi satu tu dia tak tanya. Kadang-kadang lah biasanya. Okay, but this one memang dia tanya. So they will ask you this kind of question where you have to apply this equation, and then another set of question they will ask you either projector motion ataupun free fall. That one we will learn later, not today lah, another day. Okay, here they give you example. A car starts from a rest and accelerates at 10 meter per second square for a distance of 400 meter. How long does it take to travel this distance? What is the final speed of the car? So here they didn't give you any equation. They didn't give you any set of graph. Okay, they didn't ask you to draw any graph. So obviously this one related to this situation lah. You have to apply these 3 equation. So the first thing that you need to do, you have to take out the information. So kalau dalam exam, maybe you can highlight ataupun you can underline. So kata sini, a car starts from rest. Okay, highlight everything yang mention about the motion, walaupun dia rasa macam kecil-kecil pun, highlight juga. Dan dia kata accelerates at 10 meter per second for a distance of 400 meter. Okay, kamu dah highlight. Okay, number 1, maybe I can write it down, the step to solve this one. Highlight or underline lah. Okay, number 2, take out the information. Number 3, I would like to list down equation. Number 4, subset and solve. Okay, so if you want to take out information, my best advice is that you try to draw the situation as well. Okay, so ramai student ni malah nak lukis. Especially macam ni kan, dia senang kan, tapi tak apalah kita lukis. Sebab it will help a lot to determine dia punya sign convention tu. So a car, so I'm gonna draw this is basically the road. So it says that a car start from rest. Okay, car ni kamu nak assume dia ke kanan ke kiri?
Kanan, sir.
Okay, kalau dia tak kasih direction, it is easier for you guys to assume that it moves to the right. Sebab apa? Sebab kamu punya velocity will be positive and most of the sign convention will be positive lah. So assuming that this car will move to the right. So will move to the right. Okay. Okay, initially, what is the velocity for initial of the car? So initial velocity of the car. What is the velocity?
0.
0 meter per second.
Zero.
Okay, simbol apa kamu nak tulis?
U.
U.
Okay, good. Okay, so dalam exam, bila kamu take out the information, kamu jangan main tulis macam okay 0 meter per second. Okay, you need to write this one in terms of appropriate symbol. Pakai simbol yang sepatutnya lah, which is U. Okay, and then dia kata accelerates at 10 meter per second. So that means A is 10 meter per second. Okay, based on your drawing, A kamu ke mana?
To the right.
To the right. So A is this one, which is 10. So A tu positif ke negatif?
A positif.
Positif.
Sebab apa positif?
Sebab dia to the right.
Yes, good. Okay, for a distance of 400 meter. So let's say they travel 400 meter. Okay, that one you want to represent with what symbol?
S.
Okay, as positive, negative.
Positif.
Sebab apa positif?
Ke kanan.
Okay, good. Okay, so nampak simple, tapi always ask yourself, okay, positive, negative, because this one is chapter 2. So how long does it take to travel this distance? So dia kata dia nak quantity apa ni? Soalan A.
Time.
Sorry?
Time.
Dia nak
Okay,
T,
time.
sir.
Okay, dia nak T. Okay, so kita tulis lah. T dia nak apa? Okay, kenapa saya suruh kamu list down these symbols is because you can compare directly with the equation. Okay, saya mengelak sikit. So I'm gonna copy this one. And I'm gonna put it side by side. Okay, so kalau kamu dah mahir, you can read this one and then you can straight away knows which formula you want to use. Tapi kalau let's say dalam exam kamu ada, maybe kamu tak boleh nak fikir kan suddenly, so what you guys need to do is that you put it side by side equation dengan information yang ada. Okay, so what you're gonna need to do is that you cancel out yang tak pakai dulu lah. Contohnya dekat sini kan, soalan dia nak cari T. So obviously you have to use equation yang ada T. Betul tak? You guys agree with this?
Betul, sir.
Okay, so equation mana yang saya nak cancel? Yang tak pakai.
Question nombor 2.
Equation tu dah tak pakai lah. Okay. So you have U, A and S. Kamu nak pakai equation mana?
1.
S.
S.
Mana ada equation S? Equation T.
Number 3.
Okay, sorry. Equation S tu sebab dia ada S lah. Yang 1 tu tak ada S. So if you want to use yang 1 ni, you don't have the values for. If you want to use 1, you will end up with the V dengan T as your unknown. So ada dua unknowns, kamu tak cukup information lah. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out this one first. So we're going to use the third equation. So simply substitute all the values. Positive 400. Positive tak payah masuk pun tak apa ya. So U equals to 0, just substitute this one as 0. T plus half A is given, which is 10. T is the one that you want to find. So it ends up like that. This one is 0. So you end up with 80. Saya rasa macam betul. Macam kira. Oh, berapa?
$8.94.
Okay. Saya 8.94. Okay, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so I repeat the step. Mula-mula kamu highlightkan the question and then you draw. and then you take out the information. Yang 3 ni memang wajib lah. Yang draw tu yang student paling tak suka buat, but then for me buat lah. Because if you want to solve something, you want to determine the direction, you need to draw. Kalau kamu bayangkan je, sometimes tak cukup. And then yang 4 and 5th punya tu, kalau tak sure, kena buat lah. Kalau boleh buat terus, tak payahlah. Tapi 1 to 3 tu, for me, you really need to do compulsory lah. Okay, don't forget to put down the unit which is second. Okay, sometimes, okay, macam tadi saya cancel out 3 equation tu kan. Okay, sometimes, bila kamu nak cari final je, you need another quantity. Bukan contoh soalan ni, contoh soalan lain kot. So, kadang-kadang kamu kena pakai equation yang lain tu juga untuk cari kuantiti lain dulu, lepas tu baru cari kuantiti yang soalan tu suruh. Kadang-kadang lah. That one nanti jumpa soalan kamu boleh nampak kot saya cakap apa. Okay, B, what is the final speed of the car? So soalan nak apa?
Dia nak V.
V.
So I always write down soalan dia nak apa. So like that lah. Okay, so sebab this one kamu still learning, so I'm gonna take out this one, put it here. Okay, the difference now, you already have the time. Okay, and then you want to find your this one. Okay, okay, based on this information and the equation that you have, which equation that you want to use?
First equation.
First equation, can I use second equation?
Yes.
Yes, third equation tak ada V, so tak ada V, so tak boleh lah. So kita nak cari V. So you can either use first or second. Nak guna first boleh, kita pakai yang first. Okay, the first equation will be V equals to U plus AT. So 0 plus 10, 8.94. So you will get 89.4 meter per second. Okay, don't get confused with the unit lah. Kalau velocity, initial final is -1. Kalau acceleration, -2. So that's it. Itu je, tak ada apa. Cuba kita tengok another example. Tadi kita buat question number 10, maybe we can do question number 11. Okay, it says here, a train is moving at a velocity of 25 meter per second and it brakes with deceleration of 2 meter per second before it stops. Okay, macam saya cakap tadi, first thing first, kita highlight kan. Moving at a velocity of 25 meter per second, it brakes deceleration of 2 meter per second square before it stops. Find the time taken for the train to stop, the braking displacement of the train. Okay, a train is moving at a velocity of 25 meter per second. Itu kuantiti apa?
U.
Okay, so U is equals to 25 meter per second. To determine whether it's moving to the right or to the left, it's based on your drawing lah. So drawing kamu nak lukis ke kanan ke kiri?
Kanan.
Kanan. Okay, so we draw it to the right. Nak lukis ke kiri pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Oops, tanpa itu. Okay, kita assume yang this one adalah kereta api. Kita api saya dengan kereta saya lebih kurang ya. Okay, So U to the right. So initially it is moving and dia tengah bergerak. And it breaks with a deceleration of 2 meter per second. So A kamu ke mana?
Ke kiri.
Okay, A ke kiri. So deceleration ke acceleration ke, we still use a symbol of A. Jangan pakai simbol lain pula. Cuma beza dia sekarang ni direction je lah. A is equals to 2 meter per second square. A itu positive or negative?
Negative.
Okay, negative. So you put negative down here so that you don't forget. Okay. So saya ulang because this one is deceleration. So obviously dia punya direction of acceleration tu opposite daripada dia punya motion. That's the only way dia akan decrease in velocity. Macam friction lah. Okay, then the question we need to find, apa ni? What is this? Okay, itu je information ada. Find the time taken for the train to stop. So soalan ni nak apa? A.
Time. T.
Time. Okay. Satu lagi information yang dia tak beri in numbers but dia sebut, dia kata time taken for the train to stop. So maksudnya apa?
V equals to 0.
Okay, V equals to 0. So that means final velocity is actually equals to 0. Sebab apa? Dia kata eventually the train will stop lah. Okay, so your V is equals to 0. Kita nak pakai equation mana? We have U, A and V. We want to find T. Equation 1, 2 and 3. Which one you want to use?
1.
Okay, 1. Okay, good. Very good. Nampak clear kan? Okay. Write down dulu. Okay, for the syllabus, if you use the correct formula, biasanya tak dapat markah. You need to be able to substitute baru dapat first mark. Kadang-kadang dia kasi konsep tapi jarang lah. So V equals to 0, U equals to 25, A dia berapa tadi?
Negative 2.
Okay, don't forget to substitute the negative. So you can bring this one, the whole thing to the right, and then you can bring the 2 to down here. So it becomes 25 divided by 2, which is 12.5. Betul tak? Okay, 12.5 second. Okay, so far any question?
Faham sir, no question.
Okay. And then the next question they want you to find the braking displacement of the train. Berapa jauh dia perlukan jarak untuk berhenti. So that one is your apa? Soalan ni nak apa tu?
Dia nak S.
Yes, okay. Now the question we need to find your S. So which equation you want to use?
Equation number 2.
Number 2 So you can use this one. Tak kisah number 3 pun boleh.
Number 3 boleh juga.
Tak kisah. Which one? Okay. Kamu pilih. Saya ikut je.
Okay, 3 lah sir.
3, okay. So S equals to UT plus half AT square. Mana jadi? S nak cari, sorry. So S you want to find. Okay, U is equals to 25. T is equals to 12.5. Just now you calculate. Plus half. Okay, ini yang selalu student lupa square. I don't know why. Kadang-kadang dia tulis, calculator tak tekan. So lagging sikit saya punya ni. Okay, anyway. So 35 multiply with 12.5. Okay, I do it one by one. Okay, don't forget about the negative tu. Again, biasa student tulis tapi lupa nak tekan calculator. Negative and square tu. Okay, did you get the same answer with me?
Dapat ke?
Dapat.
So S positive tu maksudnya displacement dia ke mana?
Ke kanan.
Kanan.
Kanan. So it makes sense
Kanan.
lah. Okay, good. So based on your drawing, something like this lah. So at this moment, they press the brakes, okay, and then they start to brakes, and then decelerates, and eventually comes to a rest. The total distance it takes to rest is S equals to berapa tadi? 156 meters. So everything tally up, it makes sense. So should be okay.
Sir,
Yes,
kan motion dia kan boleh belah kanan atau belah kiri kan?
betul?
So kalau dia punya V tu kita buat belah kiri, so A dia akan jadi belah kanan ni.
Yes, correct.
So jawapan akhir dia akan sama juga.
Sama juga. Betul?
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you assume that this train is moving to the left. Okay, if you assume that one is a very good question. So if you assume this one moving to the left, your U would be negative, and because U is to the left lah, A to the right macam kawan-kawan cakap tadi, Farisha cakap. So this one is positive. So when you try to calculate your T ni tak ada beza, jawapan ni memang akan sama sebab T tu tak ada sign convention lah. But then when you try to calculate your S, your final answer will have a negative. Negative tu maksudnya dia ke kiri lah. So tak ada masalah pun, dua-dua diterima. So jawapan akhir, satu tu akan positif, satu tu akan negatif, and mainly because of your drawing. So dalam exam semua diterima. Don't worry. Okay, I think we do. Okay, ada soalan lagi?
Boleh tak nak tengok untuk question 8?
Apa? Sorry, tak dengar.
Nak tahu untuk soalan 8.
Soalan apa? Soalan 8 tutorial. Okay, tak apa, jadi kita discuss. So 8 tu dia pasal graph kan? Tak apa, don't worry. Jadi kita discuss. Kita try untuk discuss soalan ni dulu. Itulah saya pun macam, sebabnya saya takut sebila saya discuss tutorial yang sebelum ni kamu buat tu, takut tak cukup masa pula nak buat topik ni. Tapi tengok macam terlebih masa lah. Tak apa. This first hour ni kita akan buat tutorial yang ni dulu, and then kita the second hour lagi kita go back to the graph ni tu. No worry. Okay, since we got a little bit more time, which is faster than what I expect, saya nak masuk projector motion sedikit, satu part je, yang senang je.
Boleh, Sir.
Projector motion, boleh. So projector motion is actually our third subtopic. Okay, so projector motion basically can divide into two parts. Satu tu adalah projector motion, satu tu adalah freefall. Dalam nota kamu dia tak bagikan pun, tapi saya bagikan. We have freefall and projector motion. So kalau projector motion, you will involve with X and Y component. Okay, but for free fall, it will only involve with Y component. So today I would like to focus on this one, which is about free fall. Previously, yang the subtopic before this 2.2 tu kita hanya involve with X component. So there's still one dimension. yang tadi tu dengan yang ni. Cuma the only difference about Y component is that kalau free fall, dia punya motion dia sama, memang ke bawah je lah, tak ada sama ada, memang motion dia ke bawah. So direction dia biasanya macam tu. So acceleration dia sentiasa equals to gravity, G. So the thing about free fall ni, nama dia pun free fall, dia jatuh bebas, maksudnya sama ada objek tu dia lepaskan ataupun dicampak, tapi throughout the motion tu dia tak ada extra force. Okay, contohnya batu dilepaskan, okay, sama ada dia lepas from rest ataupun dia lepas tu daripada dia tengah bergerak, in between dia lepas dengan dia jatuh ke tanah tu tak ada force yang acting on it, kamu tak ada tarik dia lagi, kamu lepaskan dia. So itu yang kita panggil free fall. Okay, kalau tak nampak jadi nampak kot. Okay, contoh saya ada a person standing on the edge of the let's say this one, dia diri atas table lah, nak lukis gunung tapi macam tak susah pula nak lukis gunung. Okay, dia diri atas table, so you're holding a stone and then you release the stone. Okay, let's say this one is my initial position. Okay, this is when my S is equals to 0. Okay, and then when I release the stone, obviously the stone will goes down. Okay, so katakan saya release from a rest, then my U is equals to 0. Contoh contoh kalau dia campak, that means dia ada initial velocity lah. But here let's say they release from a rest, so U is equals to 0. So normally the question might ask you to find the final velocity before it reach the ground, which is slightly above the ground, which is over there, V. Okay, so kalau from this diagram, V kamu tu biasanya positif ke negatif kalau kamu tengok?
Negative.
Negative, because it's pointing downwards. So eventually when you calculate, you should get V2 negative because it is going downwards. And dia berlaku before dia sampai tanah. Sometimes dia kata find the velocity at the ground. Dia kata at the ground, kamu jangan cakap zero pula. Ada student tak boleh terima. Dia kata kalau dah sampai tanah, dia zero lah. No, dia before dia sampai tanah. So just before. Dia memang soalan ni kadang dia tak cakap details, tapi you will expect the question to ask just before it reach the ground. Okay, displacement, everything below the starting point down here is negative S. Anything above here is positive S. Dia tengok starting point tu mana. Anything above is positive, anything below is negative. For free fall, you discuss about everything below lah. Normally the S will be negative. Dia tak cakap, you have to substitute yourself. And then the key thing here for free fall, you will always have the G, which is actually your A lah. A is equals to G, which is 9.81. Okay, negative tu sebab dia pointing downwards. Okay, if you are taking back, if you took the equation yang initial tadi, okay. Okay, now these three equation you have to change a little bit lah. Change senang je. Contoh dekat sini A ni, now you have to change to G. Tapi sebab dia negative G, so kita tukar sekali terus kat sini. So this one become negative G T. Understand?
Understand?
Okay, yang this one kita tukar juga sebagai G. Saya padam semua lah. So this one jadi negative 2GS. Okay, and then the last one tu, so jadi negative, dan A tu jadi G. Okay, so the formula you already change to negative, betul? Kita dah tukar formula to negative. So when you try to substitute inside the equation, G yang kita masukkan tu positif lah. Yang masukkan negatif lagi sekali pula. Faham tak?
Faham.
Okay. Yang lain okey? Yang lain senyap je?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Boleh dengar sorry Nes. Okay, so G tu kamu masukkan when you substitute inside the formula, you substitute as a positive values. Okay, cuba kita tengok satu example. Okay, then we get started. Satu example and then we go, kita rehat. Okay. Okay, so we are looking at question 14. An object is dropped so that it's continue in a free fall motion. Find its acceleration, displacement after 3 seconds, its velocity when it had fallen 70 meter, the time for it to achieve a velocity of 25, the time it has taken to fall 300 meters. Okay, so maximum dia fall tu dalam soalan ni up until 300 meters. So I assume this one is very height dia tu very high lah. Kita katakan ada a person standing on the edge of a building, so it releases an object. Oops, kenapa dia degil? Okay, let's say object ni falls down. Okay, now apa information yang kita ada?
Kita ada G.
G equals to 9.81. Lagi?
U equal to 0.
U equals to 0, kenapa?
Sebab dia daripada atas macam
Sebab dia kata dia drop. Okay,
dia drop. Okay.
so drop tu ada keyword untuk dia release lah. Kadang dia kata release, kadang dia kata dia drop. So kalau dia kata throw, itu ada velocity. Biasanya kalau dia tak kasih tu, kita most likely dia adalah 0 lah. Tapi kamu kena baca betul-betul. Nak kata sentiasa tu tak juga. Okay, soalan number 1. A, dia kata is acceleration. A equals to
Negatif 9.81.
okay, which is negative G lah. 9.81 meter per second square. Okay, very good. Yang B tu displacement after 3 seconds. So question ni nak apa?
S.
S. Okay, so I'm gonna use this equation instead.
Sir, saya keliru lah kalau A tu kan. Kita nak letak negatif ke tak payah letak negatif?
Okay, kalau kita substitute dalam formula, kita tak perlulah letakkan negatif sebab formula ni kita dah substitute negatif kat luar. Okay, but here since dia kata soalan tu nak cari acceleration je, kalau kita letak 9.81 je, maksudnya dia ke atas lah sebab dia positif. So saya tak negatif sebab gravity always downwards. Soalan ni kalau dalam exam, kadang-kadang bila dia tanda tu dia cakap kalau dia tanya magnitude, tak apa, boleh tulis positif. Kalau dia tanya direction, macam yang ni dia tak cakap pun direction kan. So macam ni dia cakap biasanya kalau kamu tak tulis, kamu kena tulis direction dia. Even kamu tulis pun kamu kena tulis direction dia sebenarnya. Contohnya yang ni negative 9.1, so you just have to write this one downwards. Okay, because this is a vector. So menjawab soalan kamu tadi, kalau masuk dalam formula memang tak perlu negatif. Okay, tapi kalau kamu itu sebagai jawapan akhir kamu tu, kamu kena tengok balik.
Okay.
Soalan B, displacement after 3 second. So kamu nak pakai equation mana?
3.
3, okay, good. So you can use the third equation. So S equals to UT minus half GT square. U kamu is equals to 0. So the whole term becomes 0 minus half G kamu 9.81. Ni perlu substitute negatif ke tak?
Tak.
Okay, tak. Sebab dalam equation kan. So S kamu jadi negatif. Ni ada square. Saya sendiri selalu terlupa. So I get 44.15. Did you get the same answer?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So you will end up with a negative, betul?
Yup,
Betul.
betul.
So ini maksudnya negatif tu maksud apa? Downwards lah.
Ya, downwards.
Okay, biasa kalau right and left, kita cakap to the right or to the left. Kalau upwards, downwards lah dia punya maknanya biasanya. Itu yang paling senang sekali nak tulis. Anything yang sama maksud boleh. Okay, C is velocity when it has fallen 70 meter. Okay. Soalan ni nak velocity. Okay. Soalan C, V when S is equals to 70 meter. Betul ke salah?
Negatif.
Yes. Negatif kat mana?
Negatif 70.
Sebab apa?
Sebab dia downward.
Okey, betul. So soalan dia kata find the velocity when it has fallen 70 meters. So that means dia kata bila yang ni dah bergerak sebanyak negative 70, berapa velocity dia? So the key thing here, you have to substitute negative tu. Kalau tak, memang tak dapat. Equation mana nak pakai?
Number 2.
Number 2, okay, good. So V square sama dengan U square minus 2GS. Okay, U stay 0 because the same cases tadi. 9.81, jangan letak negatif. Negative 70, this one you have to substitute negative. Okay. So kalau kamu tak substitute negative just now, you will end up with negative term over here. Okay, so you cannot take the square root lah. So masa tu kamu tahulah. Okay, there's some issue with the equation. I got here is 37.06.
Sama saya dapat.
Okay, good. Okay, the next question, they want you to find the time for it to achieve the velocity of 25 meter per second. Okay. So, kalau kamu tengok velocity dia ni, ini dah 37, tapi dia dah travel sebanyak berapa tadi? 70 meter. So, yang ni 25 meter, katakanlah kamu nak fikirkan, kamu nak anggap, kamu nak predict, adakah ada sebelum 70 meter or after 70 meter kamu rasa?
After.
After. Before sebenarnya. Sebab apa? Sebab kalau 70 meter dia dah 37. So, sebab dia 25 meter per second saja. So something above a little bit lah, sebelum lagi. Anyway, itu saja je. Sekejap saya pilih ni terputus ya. Okay, anyway. Okay, yang C tadi tu, direction dia ke mana sebenarnya? .06 tu.
Direction dia about outward, positif.
Okay, logik ke tak kalau dia outwards?
Tak.
Tak kan, sebab dia ke bawah kan?
Tapi mungkin dia melantun kot, sir.
Tak.
Tak.
Melantun. Oh tak. Dia, okay, itu fikir jauh sangat. Jangan fikir jauh sangat. Don't worry. Okay, sebab dia kamu ambil, sebenarnya isu dia macam ni, bila kamu ambil square root, dia boleh jadi positif or negatif. Ingat tak? kalau dekat maths tu.
Betul.
Betul.
So now basically it could be positive, it could be negative. So basically you have to write it down yourself lah. So this one is downwards. Okay. Kita padam ni. So positif negatif tu kamu boleh biar je macam tu, tak ada masalah. Direction tu kalau kamu tulis memang kena tulis lah. Once you write down the direction tu, so that tak ada masalah terus. Okay. I hope it's clear lah. Okay, yang C tadi tu dia kata velocity, the time for it to achieve a velocity of 25. Okay, so dia kata V sekarang adalah 25 meter per second and they want to find T. So betul tak saya punya information ni?
Betul, sir.
Betul? Yang lain?
Betul, sir.
Negative 2.5.
Negative 2.5. Negative 25.
bawah.
So di bawah. So again be careful Saya harap soalan ni mengingatkan kamu lah supaya memang kena sentiasa tanya diri. Okay, antara equation yang mana nak pakai?
The first one.
Okay, first one. Saya pun tengah fikir Okay, bagus. That's you. So if you are using the first one, V sama dengan U minus GT. So this one will be negative 25 equals to 0 minus 9.81T. Okay, good. Cancel out the negative. So 25 divided by 9.81 get 2.55 second. Okay, sikit dia lagi. E, last one. The time it has taken to fall 300 meter. Time when S equals to 300 meter. Betul ke salah?
Negative 300.
Okay, good. Very good. Now, saya sekarang dah nampak kot apa yang perlu kamu fikirkan setiap kamu keluarkan information tu. Equation mana nak pakai? Okay, S and you to find T. The third one. Kan? So S equals to UT minus half GT square. Again, U stays 0. This one negative 300 minus half. Okay, saya lupa nak substitute G tu. Saya tak tahu kucing tu nak apa. Okay, take the square root. So I got T equals to 7.82. Did you get the same answer with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So again, this one will have a positive and negative, but because this one is time, obviously it's positive lah, jangan letak negative pula. Okay, any question? Okay, we're gonna start to discuss with the objective question first. Kita go through je. So, tak ada masalah kot, senang je. Okay, lepas ni kamu kelas straight ke apa?
Sir.
Oh ya. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the first question, boleh nampak tak? Jauh sangat. Okay kan?
Nampak, saya nampak.
Okay. Question 1. The distance traveled by an object is equal to the... So this one they ask you about the graph. Okay. So like I told you before, if you have S, V and T, so this one is S against S against T graph, V against T graph, and sorry, A, last two, A against T graph. So if you want to find in this direction, it will be a gradient. If you want to go back, it will be area in the graph. Okay, so the question want to say, want you to the question asks you the distance traveled by an object is equal to, so the answer would be D, area under the velocity time graph. So if you have the velocity time graph, the area under the graph would be the distance. Question number 2, the car is moving with a uniform acceleration from a rest. Which of the following graph can represent the variant of displacement S with time t? Okay, it has a uniform acceleration from a rest. So yang B tu kita boleh cancel out sebab this one letak dia stationary, so you can cancel out that one. Yang S ni kalau V is constant, kan? Yang D ni kalau A is constant. Okay, kalau yang C tu pula ada deceleration. So the answer would be donkey. Okay, question number 3. If the velocity versus time graph of an object is a horizontal line, the object is apa jawapannya? Sorry, tak dengar.
C.
C. Okay, so maksudnya dia kata kalau velocity lawan time graph, your V against time graph is a horizontal line, that means the object is moving with zero acceleration, correct? So that's a C. So they constant velocity lah, which means zero acceleration. Okay. Question number 4. Which statements below is true for an object moving in projectile motion with initial velocity of angle theta?
C.
The vertical component of velocity 0 at the highest point of its flight. Okay, so ini kamu belum belajar lagi. Nanti kita belajar ni lah. Tapi maksudnya dekat sini, okay, maksudnya projectile motion yang cerita dia sekarang ni, dia macam ni. So ini dia punya U, dia ada angle. Nanti kita akan belajar lah next class, don't worry. Okay, soalan dia dekat atas ni dia kata the vertical component velocity of 0 at the highest point of its flight. So here kamu punya Vy is equals to 0. Nanti kamu akan belajar, don't worry Okay, question number last sekali. A tennis ball is thrown horizontally in the air from the top of a tall building. If the effect of air resistance is not negligible, what happens to the horizontal and vertical component of the ball velocity? Okay, nanti ni kita revisit lah. So this one projectile motion, so I'm not gonna discuss it now. Ni cakap tak blur lah. Okay, no worry. Okay, moving on to the next one. So kita ada beberapa soalan. So 6, 7, 8 and 9 ada 4 questions. Kita maybe sempat discuss 2 word. So kalau dalam soalan-soalan ni kamu nak pilih mana? Between 6 until 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kamu nak pilih soalan mana?
8.
Okay, lagi?
7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9. Okay, kita cuba. So 6 tak ada masalah
Tak ada, sir.
Okay, sekejap.
So saya nak 6 cukup.
Apa? Sorry?
Saya nak 6 cukup.
Okay, nak 6 juga. Okay, boleh. Don't worry. Okay, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna show you the Padlet. Sekejap saya lupa macam mana nak. How to print? Oh, here. The tab. Okay. Alright. Okay, so we are looking at our Padlet. Oh, tak ada jawapan lagi. Siapa buat soalan
Apa
nak?
yang 6B tu?
Aha.
6B.
Apa yang kamu dah jawab? Cepat sikit.
Yang 6E tu saya just tambahkan je lah. Apa 0 tambah dengan 40 tambah dengan 40. Jadi 80. Yang B tu saya tak tahu.
Yang lain boleh letak soalan Dia jawapan nombor
Dah letak dia ada kat atas.
Oh ya, yeah, sorry. Oh kat sini. Okay. Sekejap saya buat turun. Okay. So 9 dengan 7 ada. Okay. But now question number 6. Okay, that means I might have to okay. Stop share screen. Baik sangat. Okay, question number 6. The motion of an object in a straight line is shown in graph. Okay. So the first question, they want to find the total distance moved. So yang first soalan tu sebab dia kata distance, so you can ignore dia punya vector lah. So distance is just a distance. Kalau dia patah balik pun kita assume dia positif. So dia kata total distance A. So it's straightforward. Okay, soalan ni dia kata from 0 to 4 second this object travel from A to B. So they travel to the right for 40 meter. Itu maksud dia. From 4 to 8 second maksudnya apa kat sini?
0.
Apa yang 0?
Distance.
Yes. Listen, maksudnya between 4 and 8 second they remain stationary. Dia tak gerak pun, dia duduk diam je kat 40 meter tu. From C to D maksudnya apa? Dia travel 40 meter betul?
Betul,
Tapi ke mana?
Dia decrease ke kiri.
Ke kiri. Sebab dia travel patah balik. Dia patah balik ke 0 tu balik sebenarnya. So, maksudnya kalau saya nak lukis dalam bentuk orang, so from the time equals to 0, dia dekat 0 lah kat sini. So after 4 second dia travel sebanyak 40 meter to the right. Okay, and then after 4 to 8 second dia tak gerak. So dia duduk diam kat situ. But then after that, from 8 to 10 second dia actually goes back to the initial position. Dia gerak ke kiri sebanyak 40 meter. Understand or not?
Understand.
Okay. So kalau kamu faham macam ni, distance is basically just a total distance yang dia travel. So that means it will be 40 plus 40, which is equals to 80 meter. Okay, there's no direction lah. Okay, how about the displacement?
Ada arah.
Ada arah, right? So it will be 40 minus 40, which is equal to 0. Yes. Understand?
Yes.
Okay. So the key thing here, if you want to understand graph tu, sebenarnya kamu kena bayangkan apa yang berlaku within this time period, this time period and this time period. Okay. Memang tak ada shortcut code. I think you really need to understand. Macam dia balik semula pada yang latihan saya buat sebelum ni lah. Okay. Okay, the next question. Okay, question 7 kita ada solution dia. So, I'm gonna go back to my laptop. Okay, question number 7 So, kawan kamu dah post. Ni siapa yang post Sorry. 7. siapa buat tadi? Aina. Okay, nak cerita sikit kamu buat apa?
Untuk yang soalan first tu 7A dia suruh describe the motion
Okay.
B
So,
to
7A,
C.
okay. B to C. Dia orang cakap B to C. So, increasing velocity, constant acceleration. Okay, yang B1 tu?
B1 nak acceleration, so masuk dekat first formula tadi.
Okay.
Lepas tu substitute V final velocity, U initial velocity, divide by time.
Okay.
Dapat 5
Okay.
meter per second.
Okay, good.
Untuk deceleration pun sama, substitute dalam formula juga.
Okay. Good. Yang ketiga?
Yang ketiga, distance travel. Untuk VT graph, area under the graph tu sama dengan distance travel. So cari dia punya area.
Okay, yang ni kamu dah kira tadi, kamu lukis kan? Okay, very
Betul
good.
ke?
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Betul ke sir?
Betul. Sekejap, saya pergi balik ke saya punya ni, saya explain a little bit. Okay, so saya akan explain sedikit. Okay, nampak?
Nampak sir?
Okay.
Nampak.
So, apa yang kamu buat tadi, so you are given a V against T graph. Okay. So, again, kalau kamu nak bayangkan jalan cerita dia boleh. So, initially from 0 to 4, apa yang berlaku dekat sini, apa yang berlaku? So, katakan this is a person. 0 to 4 second, velocity dia increase. Betul?
Betul.
Direction dia ke kanan. Okay, saya tak tulis lah. Dia daripada 0 ke 20 meter per second. Okay, lepas tu apa yang berlaku? From 4 to 10 second. Guys, kalau kamu tengok, dia punya velocity tu constant. From 4 to 10 second. So, maksudnya apa? Dia bergerak tak? Nes, macam nak cakap?
Tak bergerak.
Tergerak sir, tapi acceleration dia 0.
Yes. Okay, very good. Okay. So, here you can see, from 0 to 4 second, their velocity dia increase. So, initially velocity 0, and it's increased up until 20 second. Okay, and then from 4 to 10 second, you have to be careful a little bit because this one is velocity against time graph. It means that this object is still moving but at a constant velocity, which is 20. So this one is 0 and then 20. Saya dah tulis tadi 0, 20 and then it remains as 20 but it's still moving. This is positive, so they still travel to the right. Okay, so 10 to 12, what happened there? Velocity dia from 20 berubah ke?
Dia decrease.
Yes, decrease and eventually the velocity to become 0. Okay, very good. So ini dia punya kisah, dia punya situation. So describe the motion of the object from B to C. So ini nak B to C je. So from B to C, actually the object is moving at constant velocity to the right. Okay. Okay, so kamu cakap tadi dia increase velocity. Dia sebenarnya constant velocity, zero acceleration. Okay, boleh? Any question?
No question. Faham.
Faham eh? Aina okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Faham.
Alright. Yang B, dia kata calculate the acceleration, deceleration and the total distance travel. Yang B tu dia tak kata, dia tak cakap from specific period, tapi dia tanya pasal acceleration, deceleration dengan total distance travel. Okay, you know that from graph V against T, kalau kamu nak cari acceleration and deceleration, it will be the gradient of the graph. Ini kalau kita refer lah. And the gradient ni, kalau kamu kira, dia sebenarnya adalah sama dengan formula yang kawan-kawan pakai tadi tu lah. V equals to U, AT tu. Cuma biasanya V equals to U, AT tu kita pakai dekat subtopik yang lain. Tak salah, betul je. Cuma biasanya dekat sini kita pakai term gradient lah. So gradient of the graph is equals to acceleration and deceleration. On the other hand, kalau nak total distance travel, this one will be area. Saya cakap tadi, ST, this is a VT graph. For a VT graph, kalau kamu nak cari acceleration, it will be gradient. If you want to find the displacement, it will be area. Okay, so here you can see clearly, for this one, it will be a positive M. Okay, kenapa dia positive M? Because this one is pointing to the right lah. So this one is acceleration. Okay, this part they pointing to the left, M is negative. So this will be deceleration. Okay, cara nak kira senang je. Saya tunjuk satu contoh. Okay, saya show you how to calculate B2 lah, deceleration. Kalau kamu dah buat yang tadi, saya tak ingat jawapan dia sama ke tak, tapi kita dah baca ni. So A is basically the gradient, which is Y2 minus Y1. Cuma kamu dia buat pakai formula tu sama je. T2 minus T1, which is equals to Y2 is over here, Y1 is over there. So Y2 tu berapa kelas?
0.
0 minus Y1 is
20.
20, good. T2 is equals to 12
Yeah.
minus 10.
10.
Okay, so it will be negative 20 divided by 2, which is negative 10. Okay, and you will get the same answer with your friend just now lah. Dua-dua cara diterima, don't worry. Okay, and then the total distance travel. Okay, this one you have to be careful a little bit. Soalan dia distance ataupun displacement. Okay, katakanlah semua everything over here is positive, so tak ada masalah lah. Dia memang jawapan dia positif. Kalau soalan dia tanya pasal displacement, ni soalan dia tanya distance, tak ada kena. But let's say the other goes down a little bit, down here. So this area would be a negative displacement. So you have to consider lah, this one positive, bawah tu negative. But here tak ada masalah. Plus dia tanya distance pun. So this one adalah apa nama dia? Trapezium. So area S is equals to area, which is equals to half multiply with the height multiply with A plus B. Okay, kamu boleh pecahkan triangle, tak ada masalah. You can do that as well. So it will be half, the height will be 20, A plus B would be this one. Be careful, this is 6, 10 minus 4, and that one is 12. So A kat atas ni, B kat bawah ni, contohnya lah. So it will be 6 plus dengan 12. So that one will be 80 multiplied by 10, you get 180 80 meter. So betul ke tak?
Betul.
Betul eh? Okay. Good.
Yang video tu,
Apa sorry?
yang video
Okay.
saya dapat positif.
B2.
Hmm.
Kamu pakai cara macam mana?
Saya buat 20 tolak kosong, 10 tolak 12. Alright. Jawapan tu 10 kan? Kalau
Okay.
dapat negatif positif boleh je.
Okay. Dia kena, kamu buat tu kamu pakai formula apa?
Sama lah.
Sama, formula sama. Yang M sama dengan Y2 minus Y1 tu. Okay, kamu pakai V minus U.
Tak, sebagai nanti.
Y2 minus Y1. Kalau Y2 minus Y1, kamu kena substitute dia itu betul lah. Maksudnya dekat sini, dia kena 0 minus 20. Sebab yang this one, kamu punya X2, Y2 dekat situ. Yang X1, Y1 tu dekat situ. Kamu jangan terbalik initial dengan final tu. So kalau kamu buat final tu dekat bawah sini, dia mesti kat bawah lah. Final tu mesti ikut time tu kan. So yang ni yang final position mesti minus initial. So final minus initial. Kalau kamu buat macam ni, dia mesti dapat negatif lah.
Okay.
So kena negatif tu kena ada. Okay. Okay, Syirah. Alright. Okay, the last question dia actually suruh kamu lukis acceleration against time graph. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to draw it properly. I mean, kamu dah buat, but the step tu saya tunjuk yang sepatutnya lah. So my advice is that whenever you try to draw a graph, especially for A against T, this is A against T graph, you will found out that for your syllabus, graph kamu dia macam bertangga. So kamu dah boleh anggap dia bertangga macam ni. So first thing first, kamu label. Kadang-kadang label ni pun kamu dah dapat satu markah. Kalau dia tak kasih any unit, you can use SI unit. Tulis dia SI unit kat situ. Kalau dia kasih unit, kamu kena ikut lah. And in this case, dia pakai SI unit. So you need to write the SI unit. Okay, the next step, basically you have to copy down yang X axis ni. X axis ni sentiasa sama nombor dia. So 0, 4, 10, 12 ni tolong copy buat kat bawah. So it will be here 0, 4, 0 berapa kat situ sorry. 0 dekat sini, 4, 10, 12. Okay. Kalau nak betul-betul cantik, kamu buat atas bawah lah mak kau. So that you can see clearly yang scale dia tu lebih kurang lah. Tak adalah teruk sangat jauh beza. Scale yang jarak 4, 10, 12 tu boleh nampak persamaan dengan soalan tu lah. Okay, now you just have to label dia punya A tu. Maksud saya dekat tadi kamu ada yang satu tadi ada positive 10, satu lagi ada negative 10 tu.
Betul.
So label here as positive 10, label down here as a negative 10. Okay. I might have to do this one a little bit untuk cantik kat atas.
So dia bukan 5 yang atas tu kan?
5 saya tak kira lah. 20 minus 4 5 sorry. So it will be 5 lah. Tadi kamu kira dapat 5
Tak perasan pula.
Tak perasan.
Dapat 5 sir.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this one will be 5. So agak-agak je lah. Biasa less than 10 lah. 5 macam tu. Lebih kurang je. Scale tu biasanya dia boleh pejam mata fizik. So sebab dia suruh lakar. Tapi jangan letak masuk akal. Okay, 5 and negative 10. Okay, good. So it will be 0 to 4 tu 5. So straight line je. 4 to 10 tu dia constant velocity, acceleration equals to 0. And then the last part tu adalah negative 10 macam tu. Okay, yang ni kamu boleh letak dotted. Okay, kalau kamu terlupa nak letak dotted pun, kamu letak solid line pun tak ada masalah. And because you don't know what happened between yang split second tu, kita tak tahulah. Tapi ini je information ada, ini yang kita perlu gambarkan. Any question tak? Okay. No okay, saya tunjuk pada pertama sekali kamu lukis as is, and then important things you label this one. Most likely you get 1 marks already because mark ada 2 je biasanya lukis graph ni. So another marks it comes from the graph. Label yang x axis ni terus sama dengan yang x axis S ke V ke tak kisah, dia mesti sama. And then yang this one kamu label yang information kamu ada, yang y axis tu dimen dengan negative 10. And then you just draw a line, dia macam tangga lah, dia memang macam tangga untuk acceleration syllabus kamu. Okay, kita maybe boleh buat satu soalan lagi. Saya tunjuk terus kot, nanti kamu boleh refer kawan-kamu buat tu. Equation number 8, dia kasih graph A against T. The graph of acceleration against time of a car which start from rest is shown in figure 2.3. So kalau dia start from rest, maksudnya apa?
Zero.
Equals to 0, yes. Okay. Tulis je, tulis kat tepi. So that kamu tak terlupa. Sometimes pakai, sometimes tak pakai. Saya tak sure pakai ke tak. Okay, ni saya discuss terus. Dekat tadi tak ada pun kan? Okay, kita discuss.
Tak.
Ada? Oh, baru masuk. Asyik boleh tak? Tapi Asyik, kalau saya discuss terus boleh tak?
Boleh, saya boleh.
Ya, nanti kamu boleh rujuk lah hasilnya. Okay, graph acceleration against times of car which start from rest is shown in figure 2.3. Calculate the velocities of the car after 10 and 30 seconds. Okay, Asyik buat macam mana ni?
Pakai buat.
Okay, pakai buat boleh. Di cara lain, siapa ada idea? Saya macam ada fikir cara lain. Ada tak buat cara lain daripada pakai buat? Pakai buat tu tak ada masalah, betul je. Okay, this is a graph of A against T. Kalau saya nak cari dia punya velocity, I can find the velocity by finding the area. Okay, kalau saya ke belakang dia jadi area, kalau saya ke depan dia gradient lah. So there's no forward for A, so just ke belakang je. So after 10 seconds, so you can calculate by calculating the area under the graph over here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yang lain okay.
Okay, sir, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So basically kamu ada dua method. You can use V buat tu, you can use the equation tu, tak ada masalah, sama macam yang tadi tu. So saya tunjuk alternatif lah. Saya rasa ramai buat tu kot. So saya tunjuk alternatif dia. You can use the area on the ground. So from T equals to 0 to 10 second. So your velocities is equals to area under the graph, which is equals to 10 multiplied by 4, which is 40 meter per second. For B, calculate after 10 and 30 seconds. So again, T now from 0 to 30 seconds. So you still have to consider all the area. So area ni, in this case, dia terbagi kepada dua lah. Satu from 0 to 10, and then you have to add with area 10 to 30. So terbagi kepada dua. Yang atas ni kita dah kira, which is 40, and then yang bawah ni that kita akan kira lah. So because that one is below the x-axis, so that one will be negative. So V is equals to 40 minus, it will be 30 minus 10, which is 20 multiplied by 4. So you get negative 80 meter per second. Salah kira. Negative 40. Dia 40, saya tulis satu. This one will be 40 minus 80, which is negative 40 meter per second. Okay, senang ke tak? Ada soalan tak ni?
Ada, Ustaz.
Tak ada So this one, because this one is below the x-axis, it is a negative values. In fact, kalau kamu kira pun, area tu sebenarnya, ini kan negatif kan? So, sebab tu kamu dapat negatif. So, bila masuk dalam ni, masukkan negatif juga. Cuma, tak ada cuma lah. Cuma area tu kita jangan letak negatif kat area tu. Kita letak dekat sebelum area. Sebab tu saya letak ni area, saya letak negatif kat situ, outside tu. Itu just a mathematics lah. Ada soalan tak?
Tak ada, sir.
Okay, kalau tak ada soalan, I think kita berhenti dulu kat sini. Don't worry. We can, so the next class, maybe we can discuss BC and then question number 9 as well.